As I explained in Part 1, the system is a self-perpetuating orthodoxy of values and views that permeate society. The system's primary values are as dangerous as they are banal. And the views fostered by the system encourage narrow-mindedness and obedience. But if most people serve the system, who does the system ultimately serve? In other words, who is the system? Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's some background to cover. What if I told you that the system was conceived, created, and maintained over the past 100 years by a few families and their associates? Again, let's not get ahead of ourselves. To introduce the American members of our little conspiracy, I'm going to tell you a story. Not that one, though a lot of people also get screwed in that story. I'm going to tell you about a true American hero, General Smedley Butler. Yes, Smedley. General Butler served this nation for 33 years. When he retired in 1931, he was the most decorated Marine in history. But was he proud of his service? No. Because he felt that rather than defending his nation, he was defending corporate interests. He referred to himself as a, quote, high-class thug for big business, a racketeer, a gangster for capitalism. So how is this guy a hero? Well, let's talk about the business plot. The business plot was a plan conceived by wealthy industrialists in the 1930s to violently overthrow our democratic republic and replace it with fascism. Yes, fascism. An open partnership between corporations and the state, supported by fervent nationalism and a lack of individual liberties. Financial risk is made public, while profit is privatized and concentrated. It means that when the economy's bad, the taxpayer pays the bill. But when the economy's good, the money goes to the corporations. It's like you give a hooker $50, but instead of giving you head, she gives the money to her pimp and says, I'm going to blow him instead. But don't worry, eventually the fellatio will trickle down to you. So these rich dudes hated Franklin Roosevelt so much they came up with the business plot, a plan to raise an army of disgruntled veterans to march on Washington. One problem. No army would follow the orders of a bunch of rich assholes, so they needed someone to lead their army, someone who could become their figurehead once they deposed FDR, someone with charisma. Good choice, but the guys behind the business plot chose instead the aforementioned General Smedley Butler. One problem. General Butler had no intention of being their dictator. In fact, he reported the plot to the New York Times and his friends in Congress. But since he was telling the truth, the media naturally didn't believe him. Congress, on the other hand, did believe General Butler. Well, not really, because they refused to name the conspirators. Oh, why not? Well, at the time, Congress was controlled by Democrats, and Democrats are pussies. But I'm not a pussy. I'm going to name some names. How about Rockefeller? DuPont? Morgan? And, of course, Bush. All reasonable American conspiracy theories lead to old HW at some point. And he and his friends have got some powerful friends outside the U.S. who'll help them maintain the system. On the next episode of Johnny Explains the Conspiracy, I explain the what of the conspiracy. As in, hey, what's that gun on my back?